What's up, everybody?
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Extreme Studios. That was RDV starting us off here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a movie that we've not covered before. We're going back to the 80s Essential, and that would almost mean Canon Classics, but we're going Canon Classic Light, and that we're having Sho Kosugi, ye ninja of all ninjas from Enter the Ninja and other ninja-related stuff from the 80s.
Ninja.
In Rage of Honor. And RDV, in case you didn't know it, I'm going to drop some heavy duty knowledge on right now, even though we've seen there with the katana and the split grip. This is when movies started becoming three words, the titles, Rage of Honor. And you know what? Nobody pioneered this better than late 80s films going into the 90s than Steven Seagal. Why am I saying this? Because Rage of Honor is one of those movies, unless you know Sho Kosugi, unless you know anything about it all, you're not going to find it, you're not going to know about it. So I will tell you this to give you a backdrop, and I'll be interested to hear how your take is on it. I'd seen this a long time ago. This is a movie that Sho Kosugi, being all the ninja guy going into the 80s, huge stuff with Canon Classics, you and I specifically have targeted around Commando-ish when things went from martial arts more to guns and explosions. This was supposed to have been the action vehicle for Sho Kosugi to show people that he's got, quote-unquote, it. I will say this. He does the fight choreography here. It's not horrible. He's believable, obviously. I don't think he does a bad job. It's a very small budget Argentinian feature, which I absolutely love that we get to see like Buenos Aires and a lot of it filmed there, right?
Yep.
I have no problem with this film. The problem I will have is that I think this one really represents a lot of what 80s films were starting to turn into, and felt a little empty for me because instead of having a lot of martial arts, you have a lot of guns. You have some lots of big explosions. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but there's definitely some dated stuff in here, like people walking around in Miami Vice jackets, because by then that was huge. Well, it's not a bad film, but you got to love the 80s to give this a chance.
You want to talk about dated jackets? In the beginning, when he goes to find his partner, because basically these guys basically took down these drug lord and all that was on this like this yacht, with all these people and all, and just partying in Buenos Aires stuff, and they take them down. And the guy explodes, after because he crashes, he gets shot and explodes. They go back, and then so he takes his girlfriend out, shows Kosugi does, Jennifer, and she's like one of those like, oh, I'm so glad that care about me more than your job now, and just like I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of those films, kind of like the Jackie Chan sense where he had a girlfriend in Police Story, he doesn't like the fact he's a cop, but same thing. I was like, well, come on, really. And
he built a little bit.
While Sho and his girlfriend are on a dinner date and all that stuff, his buddy calls him on his car phone because he's gonna check out this place, he's like, and he said and gets in there, he ends up being tortured, by this Louis Van Bergen, who plays Havelock in here, who's like this Argentinian Argentinian drug lord or whatever. Anyway, and like he's about pain. I'm like, you're not a Jack Palance, bro. Knock it off. You're like Jack Palance Timu.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, because to me I said we need somebody that broods better, and I thought this would have been better if I had a stronger bad dude. I'm being honest. Yeah. The guy wasn't horrible, but he needed like Cannon's, the guy that was in Fright Night 2, the guy that was in Cobra. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If I had somebody like him in there, I'd be all over it, right? So, I didn't pop for this guy.
So, yes, his buddy Sterling goes there and leaves a message for Sho. Sho gets a call, and he's at the basically the restaurant. Then he goes there, and then there's a big. And my point was I was going to try to get to is you talk about the Tim and Jack, his dated stuff. One of the thugs that Sho is fighting against in here is wearing a Jaws jacket, zip up jacket. Authentic one. When they first, I was like, it's the 80s, and I was like, zip up, polo and stuff, and it has Jaws in the back, and then he gets killed, and it's like, oh, I killed the shark finally, one shot. But overall, this was very hokey, and I gotta say though, that's kind of what Canon Classic movies were. As much as we love Chuck Norris, we overlook the guns, the blanks, the explosion, the grenades, all that stuff. Yeah. Here we're getting ninja stars, pretty much, that explode. Exploding ninja stars.
I don't even know what they are, but the knives that when he's in the one fight that are like wrist straps where he just kind of like they come out.
Yes, so
like, those at the opposite of Wolverine's claws.
Yeah, so basically we see two different types here. The ones where basically come out, they have the three like garden hose claws, with the claw person. He has the ones that have they're like daggers, and he uses them to block swords. they basically show Kosugi with all his movies. Whenever he does ninja stuff, they show all the authentic ninja like weapons and stuff they use.
I love that.
Yeah. So you're getting that here. You're getting the sword fight at the end, everything. It is just great. He's always throwing ninja stars, hitting people in the neck and stuff. Then he gets exploding ninja stars. It's like, and he uses a gun here too, but there's only a couple of goofs in here I saw with the gun. The very first warehouse scene I see Sho, he runs out of bullets. He's oh crap, and he has to go fight. But then the next minute, he's got his gun in his hand. I'm like, you have no bullets.
At the very beginning, I love it because you got evil boss lord on his boat going down the river downtown Buenos Aires or whatever like that.
Yeah,
like 100 scantily clad women, and everyone's partying with generic music and stuff. And they crowd the boat, and of course, him and his small group's going to arrest everybody, right? But when the shots are going off, you don't even see muzzle flash. It's near people's ears. That's a bad omen because I understand you're being low budget, but put something in there where it doesn't allow us to go, this is going to be even stupid. More things happen.
I was trying to figure out what that song was in the very beginning.
It was that generic 80s voice guy that probably you know of if you researched it.
Yeah, I honestly, that's you look at the Teen Wolf, all those movies had generic guys who just make the song for that. But it was like it was really cool. It's like it's like Ooh La La from Baywatch. It's got that rock kind of like 80s beat and stuff. And it worked really well for the opening. Kind of felt like I was getting a Miami Vice kind of opening here.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's action packed. They're doing it right to begin with.
But going through this, he said, did you notice there's one thing about this movie? His kids aren't in it whatsoever. Sho does not have his kids featured. And
that's not a bad thing, but yeah.
No, it's not. I'm not saying not. It's just saying this is the only movie that he's done that did not feature his kids.
Yeah.
We talked about, was it Enter the Ninja 2 or it was, or Revenge of the Ninja? Where he actually had a son, and he had a kid. He was like, no fighting. It's like, yeah. Honestly, this felt like basically something you would see like Missing in Action. This would be a Chuck Norris-driven film if it had been canon film, but it's not canon film. This was through. I was trying to figure out. Let me go back and look it up, but it was a lesser known actual.
Well, Argentina's changed a bit since the 80s. Certainly Venezuela has in other countries in South America. So it's interesting to see how nice the downtown look, because again, it's one of those kind of guerrilla shooting type of films, which again, it's got a cool aesthetic to it, right? The light's a little different. How many things are shot in Buenos Aires movie wise? Certainly not much that we've reviewed or whatever. And Sho Kosugi does a reasonable job in it. The thing about it is this movie needed to do a lot better, or he needed to do something to say I've arrived. And we said that sometimes when people are growing up, sometimes they just get a little bit better, then all of a sudden timing and position put them in a place where all of a sudden they break out, like Tom Cruise or others. It's very hard to early on to go, this person's got it. So Sho Kosugi is so well beloved, and the whole ninja thing and the action choreography, and to your point, working with sons who do fight choreography even today on a lot of major things. It was interesting to see that he was given a chance to be a starring vehicle. I don't want to think of it as a failure, but the movie itself that he's put in is what's a bit too generic for me, because I tell you, after this, he pretty much died off, in all honesty.
So this was a co-written movie by two writers. Wallace Bennett, known for the Philadelphia Experiments.
Yeah, which is a great movie.
George, Days of Heaven, Silent Scream, 1979. He also did the sequel to the Philadelphia Experiment, which was his last movie he did. He did The Time Machine, Police Surgeon, all those, The Rifleman TV series, worked on that. But the other writer was actually a makeup artist. His name's Robert Short. He's best known for what? Working on Beetlejuice. He was the makeup artist. That's why Beetlejuice got all that stuff. He got an award for that too. He worked on Cocoon, did special effects for Piranha back in '78, and they also did special effects for Man of Uncle. We did that To Live and Die in LA. We got was it William Peterson?
William Peterson, yes.
There's a guy in here who basically is the other surviving member of the trio that Sho Kosugi works with, and it is basically the guy is known as his actor's name is Charles Lucia in this. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know who he is, he was really big on Days Are Alive apparently. He was on there as Hart Bennett, then it was Joe, and then it was Dr. Phillips. He was on there for 27 episodes. So he also was in Tank Girl, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Society back in '89, 2 years later. So like, this guy started popping up everywhere. He was in Nash Bridges, The Pretender, Walker Texas Ranger. So this guy, did a lot of this. This was his big kind of movie thing he did for this. Otherwise, he was just basically additional crew,
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, he was kind of like the Gizzy. He's kind of like the charming kind of like guy that's just in here and stuff. And he's helping out Jennifer. But like they said, the biggest problem for this movie is not Sho Kosugi. Sho Kosugi carried the whole entire movie on his back.
Yep.
The biggest part of this movie is the villain. The villain just felt flat, lame. Man, I kept thinking like, if Jean-Claude Van Damme had been the villain in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs somebody to play against.
Or Richard Norton.
Richard Norton would have been a great, I love the idea and thought about it. We've talked about Richard Norton, but he had that kind of charisma that elevated movie and made it kind of cool. And this kind of a B-level film, right? We
do get a fight scene at the end where they're sword fighting stuff, and that's where you get to instead of seeing the fire from the blanks, you're seeing the sparks off the actual swords.
Yeah.
And when they fight two times, one's when he goes to save Jennifer, and the next time when they're landing and one of the moles working for the agency basically tells them, "Hey, landed this abandoned warehouse, so you can give us the data disk," with all the code stuff. And they go there, and then when it's the corrupt guys there, and he has to like take on a whole bunch of bad guys, and they do not hold back on the explosions, the gunfire, people being hit with swords, cut. Right. We even get Sho Kosugi before that when he rescued Jennifer. He called out, was able to on the sat phone, "Hey, I need a pickup." So it's on the him, and he gets the 4 ninjas against him. Yeah. Each have different weapons. And I love about this
ninja style, one at a time, because that's what we see.
They each had different type of weapons, two different kind of spear staffs, and then the guy with the claws, is on, and it's cool getting to see him just fighting them, and then taking them out one by one. And we can get him like doing a little bit like when he's climbing, because they kind of did the whole what was it called, Rambo, when they drop him off and he has to go through his water place to climb stuff.
And I don't care that they're ripping it off, but when you start seeing indigenous people and then guns and drugs, you're like, okay, this is just everything 80s in here. It doesn't even have to make sense.
It was awesome. He's got the crossbow, he's got the rope with the hook on it, and he's trying to get away from them, and it just he's throwing out grenades and like stuff. It was an entertaining. It's a B-level movie. I know that going into this. Because anytime you go into these 80s movies that are kind of like lesser known, unless you're really into just watching everything that Sho Kosugi was doing, it's so I didn't go into it thinking this was gonna be the best thing ever, but I also didn't go into this movie thinking like, oh, it's gonna suck. I'm gonna hate every minute of it. I went to it with an open mind, and I'm glad because I came out actually liking this movie. Where some of I guess if we didn't have the ninja stuff in here, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much.
Yeah, I think we were just recently recorded our season 3 finale of Columbo, and the police commissioner, Mark Halpern is the name of the character, is portrayed by somebody who and you and I don't necessarily talk a lot, but we talk about like voices and stuff. It's played by an actor. His name is Richard Kyle. I'm like, that voice is distinctive. What has he done? And I looked him up, and he's the man best known for a song called "Dream," the Impossible Dream from Don Quixote, right? He's the man of La Mancha. And the episode was so fantastic, having a great bad guy. It doesn't mean it has to be someone you like or root for, but somebody that's charismatic, that's on the level of the writing. And to your point, this movie lacks that. And again, when you have somebody like Sho Kosugi trying to go solo, that's different than being a bad guy that doesn't have to talk. Sho's not bad as a good guy, but he looks great when he's got a very concentrated look on his face, kind of like the Chuck Norris stare that we talk about. And it works kind of, sort of, but I feel like the movie failed him the way they supported it. And it's so disappointing because all these things that you're thinking about, you go, this could have been a bit better. And it's a little sad to me because you and I always joke about Commando being the ultimate Father's Day film, but that's really the turning point for that. There's a scene in here in the warehouse where is it a karate movie or is it an action movie? Because yes, they mix them both in, but when he does that absolutely asinine, ridiculous flip with the grenade, and while he's in the air drops into something, that's the kind of bullshit that I go, I get it, it's cute and it's fun.
I love it.
I understand that, right? But when you're trying to put the rub on somebody to be a solo artist when martial arts are dying out in the 80s, right? Because again, you saw the Rambo influence with the guns that you mentioned. You saw some Miami Vice stuff here, which we both mentioned. We also had, I think, was it Bloodsport was already out at this point here? So kickboxing was a bigger deal. And here's a guy doing ninjutsu, which is allegedly he really knows what it is, which whatever.
Yeah, so Sho Kosugi started with Trans World Entertainment, which is they're the ones that distributed this, made this, produced it. Yep. Back in '85, he did Pray for Death. That's also on Tubi. I'm also interested in looking at that too as well.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah. They went with a more serious type. This is they're trying to basically be a rival to kind of canon a little bit, but they're also doing some weird movies like Creature, which is like their ripoff of Alien.
Yeah.
So while they're doing this, Canon continued with Chuck Norris until like late 80s, and then they decided, you know what? We see what's going on here. We got Sho Kosugi. He's a serious type,
Yep.
Let's go for the guy, a little comedy. Let's get Michael Dudikoff. Let's add a little bit of comedy in this,
Yep.
Yeah, and it worked for them. American Ninja.
And more American-centric in terms of ethnicity.
Yes. This guy was a Japanese man, basically working for America, and in this movie, it turns out, well, there was one of the guys was corrupt, and it was and that's how everybody got killed because he was led into a trap. The whole thing's they wanted to basically get Sho Kosugi because he's the main guy. He's the one, the better than all of them. So,
look, I'm going to say
I want to say this. When after his buddy was killed in the beginning, and then there must have been a leak because they want to know how do they know this stuff. It's like, my first thing I thought, I was like, oh, his partner, the other one, the rich suave guy, or whatever, I thought he was going to turn out to be the mole. I did not expect like somebody higher up,
Oh yeah, of course, government. Again, we've talked about progressive elements in television in the late 60s, early 70s, and then cops looking like buffoons rather than independent, smart people in the 80s, making fun of them. And now in the 80s, it became, I'm going to do it in spite of the United States government, with or without you, whether it's this or stealing a plane to go pick up somebody that's been left behind.
I quit. Now, and of course, because they're in like Argentina, I was looking at the cards and stuff. They had it's like a pig nut or whatever, or peanut, whatever. It's all those. It was called Peugeot. It has the lion on the front.
I'd have to look it up.
The albums, it was one of it started with the P, but it was like in the 80s. They all had those like little cars that they look like knockoffs of like the Corollas and all that stuff, the Ford Escorts, sedans that drove. Iran had them too and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I always when I see those movies, and I look at, because I was like, yeah, this isn't Hong Kong, Japan. So I want to see what cars are they driving here in Argentina.
Yeah,
and exactly. They had some Fords in there, that Ford station wagon there. Poor Harry, or Henry, whatever his name is, who gets the guy the information, ends up being caught, and he's like. So and he's only like, he was really short too, like 5'5". Yeah, and then here comes the bad guys. Oh, you want to tell me what you did? Didn't you tell me honestly? It's
now that you mentioned the bad guy, he reminded me of Edward James Olmos. You know why? Because when we see Edward James Olmos become the new captain of Miami Vice, because he's not the original one, right? I know you've been starting to watch that show.
No, right? He's no, he's not the guy.
But he always whispers, and he never looks directly at anybody. He's like, no, Crockett, you're off the case.
This guy didn't whisper, though.
I don't care. I need the report on my desk immediately. And that's how we always talk. The whole, and you're like, okay, that's cool. This guy I thought acted like him. That's a ripoff, which is fine. But look, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Edward James almost like his character, the whole thing was just being lieutenant. He was a man of very few words, and he only spoke when he needed to, when he said it was very important, But because you always got that sense of like he didn't give a shit. But then when he says something, he's like, I'll back you.
He was a nom.
Yeah.
And when Castillo talks softly, people listen to him. They even give him a few episodes of backstory where he takes his ninja sword out in Miami Vice and kills people.
Yes. And then he talks about the days when he's running around naked on the beach.
Yeah, that would be that's Wolfram reference, ladies and gentlemen. Just go check that out without fantastic.
Overall, though, if you are a fan of like ninja movies, this is right up the alley. I would check this out. I mean,
it's not a ninja movie, but it kind of has ninja elements.
It's Sho Kosugi using ninja stuff, training all stuff. We're getting karate here, we're getting the leaps, we're getting
it's just the octagon.
I mean, he's using grenades. They're exploding ninja stars, which I love. Those are great. And we get 2 freaking uses of smoke bombs.
Yes.
And he's using the short swords, all that stuff. It's just fun. It's overall, and he has nunchucks. What he uses, he knocks the guy out, and he stabs him in the heart with them.
Yes, that's cool.
It's like I said. It was very Sho Kosugi. And if you like his type of movies, that's what you're going for. Just like you watch Chuck Norris for Chuck, you know he's going to get into every Chuck Norris movie. You're going to get a kick. You're going to get, either he's going to yell at a woman and tell her to be quiet. And let me do my job. He's a lone wolf McQuaid in every movie he does. I love it.
Hey to Anthony, everybody's starting to pop in now. Look, one of the things about this movie, I'm trying to differentiate from the movie because, again, we just talk whatever, and we don't really rehearse and research. We just compare it to other stuff that we've mentioned and what comes to mind. And what's striking to me about this particular movie, I'd mentioned before that in the late 80s, things were changing movie-wise. And Sho Kosugi had been on I think it was called The Master, a guy driving around in the van, one of the Van Patten brothers, and Lee Van Cleef is like this guy carrying a gerbil in his pocket. I'm not joking. Yeah. And he was the evil ninja that was going to go kill them or something. And so that was America's real first exposure with them. But then, of course, when we talk about ninja movies, I will argue unto my deathbed, anybody, I don't care who you are, Jesus can come down from the skies, Allah, everybody could stand there in line, and I'll go enter the Revenge of the Ninja, which is the second in the Ninja trilogy from canon, is by far the gold standard template for all ninja movies that there is. I know there's been some ninja movies going back to, I think, the 60s a little bit, Japan and other stuff, and there's, the probably Golden Harvest, those films that we could probably do a deep dive and check out some ninja stuff. But that made the ninja craze so friggin' incredible because ninja were everywhere going into the 70s into the 80s. And the guy that when I think of ninja, I think of him. And so when things started changing, and we've talked about it changing the guard here with Speakman and the Perfect Weapon and the Kenpo that he did. And then, of course, despite people not liking Steven Seagal at all, he had a very hot run there for 4 or 5 films, and it was a different type of martial arts. It felt like there was a renaissance. And so here, unfortunately, Kosugi didn't get to be a part of that. He couldn't transition into that 90s element of it. But even when you start seeing the secondary market that you and I start talking about when we talk about your specialty, which is the 90s, is that you could have like a 3rd, 4th, or 5th film in Universal Soldier and not realize it until you saw it on the wall at Blockbuster. And then you start seeing young actors that are making movies today, like Scott Adkins, and their ninja movies. So I went through a phase a few years ago just trying to watch current ninja movies to see how it would compare. And they're more flippity-floppy, the more this, that, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think something that Sho Kosugi should be known for is this picture you've got here right now, him holding the sword. It just looks right. He's Japanese. He's got the right stuff. He tried showing that stuff off in this movie. Unfortunately, sometimes it was serious. Sometimes it was a little goofy. I get it. I feel disappointed because I thought he deserved better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was looking at the other guy. Ulises Dumont. He was the guy in here who basically was their boss.
Yep.
He was an arching film actor. Died in 2008. Guys in over 80 different appearances in films, countless others in theater and television from 1964 until his death in 2008. Wow, 71 years old. And I was just trying to see if he's actually anything. It looks like he's basically did a lot of foreign stuff. He didn't really do a lot of American stuff, but
yeah, Anthony's asking about have we reviewed Pray for Death. You had mentioned that a little while ago.
No, we did not. And
that was one we look at because it is on Tubi, I believe.
Yeah, this was just basically Rob and I were giving like a short list back and forth, and I was going Tubi. This popped up first. And then after I watched this movie, they're like, "Oh, do you want to watch Pray for Death?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." Yeah.
As opposed to the Motorhead song "Killed by Death," or like the Raid commercial "Kills Bugs Dead," which I still ask myself, how would you kill a bug? Because kills bugs dead. I don't know how else you would kill him. But those are the kind of questions that we like to bring up occasionally here on the Extreme Movie Show.
Overall,
it was just disappointing that he didn't get a bigger run after this. He had such a solid background. To me, again, he's the gold standard of ninja. He is the ninja scale.
See, here's the thing: is like he's the Sears version of Jackie Chan. This is kind of what Bruce Lee was doing. Not Bruce Lee at all, but I'm just saying the kind of Sears stuff. I feel like this would have been Bruce Lee if he would have lived, kept doing movies. It would have went serious, and then no one really. This would have died out. I think the reason he's popular is because he died. So
agreed, totally, 100%.
Like I said, Jackie Chan found a formula that works for him, which is basically like kind of like a ballet. You would just describe it. He hits a hand. He's like, ow, comedy, situational stuff, and everybody loves that. And that appeals not only to the audience in Hong Kong, but it also appeals to Americans. And you're also getting,
it's somewhat safe.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You're getting the martial arts, the kung fu, but you're also getting like the suspense and the big stunts.
Yeah,
Sho Kosugi wasn't really doing the big stunts. I thought Sho Kosugi was going to do the Rambo thing and jump out of the helicopter.
I know,
and then into the water.
But evil Mark Capron, played by Richard Kiley, as the police commissioner who kills his wife after helping covering up the killing of his next door neighbor, does actually, and I'm dead serious, RDV, he actually jumps out of a helicopter into the pool because he's got an accomplice that, after he murders his wife, frames it in there, and he plays the action hero. So yes, he should have done it. But you know what? It's weird because you and I, when we talk about Jackie Chan in certain scenes, we know there's going to be a climbing, then we know there's going to be a parkour. And then here, this may sound, I don't care how it sounds, I'm going to describe it for you. One of the scenes I thought was one of the better ones, and it sounds simple and basic, but I thought they did it well, as opposed to some of the silly stuff, was when his girlfriend's in his uberly expensive, high-end palatial apartment complex there, the hotel room there.
When they first arrive,
street. And when the guy's basically trying to like throw her off the ledge, and we see him walk in there, and he goes into the other room, and then does the conveniently placed I don't even know what the acrobatic move is there, where he grabs it and flips on there and kicks the guy with the ninja sound and then rescues her. I kind of like that.
He basically,
because she's laying there and he hops in the room and beats him up, and then throws
he runs
body outside the window and then saves this woman.
So he sees her hanging off the balcony. This guy's and then he basically runs to his other room, runs from the balcony, jumps up, kicks the guy, grabs something, and he flips up and he kicks the guy in the face. And then they're fighting out there. She's still hanging. He's like, "Hang on, baby. I'll be there in 5 minutes." And she's right about to fall. She's been hanging on, losing her grip. And he ends up basically just throwing the guy over. And you see him, and then he ragged out because it turns into a dummy. As it's like, falls. I thought it was kind of hilarious when it does it. But overall, one of the better scenes we get is that the bad guy. He's like, "Harley, all right. What do you mean Shiro's still alive? Well, we'll call him the twins. Give me the twins." These like 5'6" like Japanese guys comes in. They look like the Tweedledee and Tweedledum from that.
That's what I'm saying. Give us some badasses.
Yeah.
Man.
So anyway, those guys.
Whose Hitman should have been?
Hey! I'll just say they cut those apples into the fourths. and then the other guy has to show them up. Oh, I can see cut too.
Got Bolo Young in here.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like someone who actually like seems like it's like I want a David Goliath moment where someone you hit him and like, oh, no effect whatsoever.
Yep.
So he goes basically after she leaves, she's gonna go to he's sending his girlfriend away with his other friend, age guy, and he goes to this warehouse and he's got the red jacket on. He's got the lead jacket. He's got the leather kind of like wrist, kind of like the Michael Jackson would wear. He had the open part for the wrist here, but they're like the fingerless cuffs, gloves he'd wear. And then he's got the pipe. He carries with him. You're sick over, and he sneaks in. He jumps over the freaking barbed wire fence, then hits a guy in the face as he lands. I was like, dang. It's like either he's really he can jump, or he's using a springboard. Probably using a springboard, but. Then he goes into the warehouse. He's taking out this guy with a shotgun, and just like I thought those, because then he takes out one guy after another, and then he gets into this place and he cuts open the coffee beans. Yeah. What does that movie does remind you of? Whether that was Beverly Hills Cop.
I think they took that idea from not Kingdom of the Spiders. There's another spider movie. Is it Tarantula? Or not Kingdom of the Spiders is William Shatner, but there's one because there's a very small brief window of there's when animals attack, but there was a subset of the tarantula movies, and they hid like in bananas or coffee beans or something or whatever when they got brought over.
That was Beverly Hills Cop. I think it was either one or two where the guy they're transporting inside the actual coffee bean stuff. So he finds it in there. The guy confronts him, and then this guy ends up after the warehouse blows up, whatever, like there's a fire. The cops show up. And that guy goes to jail. So Sho Kosugi gets himself arrested, so he could go in there. He walks by. He's like, oh shit, it's that guy, and he goes into his jail cell, and this kind of like a dumb kind of Buenos Aires cop, like puts him in there, and when this guy leaves, they turn the lights out because it's nighttime. Sho pulls out the little thing, his pen pops up, and it's a little lockpick, opens the gate, and he's just about to get out there. These guys, ninjas. Remember, they show you this opening. There's a giant square opening, conveniently from moonlight, in the ceiling. The ninjas slide down. The two twins, and I'm thinking he goes in there. He gets out, takes out the bad guys. Now I can't remember. I don't remember if they killed the guy already by this time. I think they did. They killed him they killed the cop using a blow gun. I love that blow darts, like little. I think they took out the bad guy too when the show was kind of trying to get information because I don't know where Harlock was. And Harlock basically was afraid this guy was going to squeal and talk, so he had him murdered. And you get to see him basically fight against these two guys, the two ninjas, takes them out, and then the guard comes in, like, what's going on? And he sees like Sho's just kind of like doing his little meditation pose inside his back in his jail cell,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what? Next day, like, escorts him out. As I said, like, you get little scenes like this, but yes, Anthony, the trampoline jumps because he cannot jump that high. There's no way he's jumping, but it adds.
Are you saying his stunt double in no way reminds you of the actual actor himself?
No, the actor is doing the jumps. He's just using a trampoline because he's like short. There's no way because even Jackie Chan can't jump from the ground over a fence, without running over and jumping on something first. That's why I said, like, a lot of people identify Jackie Chan because Jackie Chan was believable. He would run up stuff, something, and then I love because he started doing the outtakes where you see where the stunt goes wrong. Yeah. Where he falls, and almost hits himself, hits his hand, or he lands on it and hits his groin. But yeah, I love this. This kind of felt like Power Rangers because they show the ground up when he does the flip over. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like Power Rangers. They jump over the camera, they do the flips. It's like it's funny, but like I said, overall, I had fun with this. It's free to watch on Tubi TV. Mm-hmm. We'll probably do some more of these. There's a bunch I've been looking at over on Tubi TV. Support that us.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned several times shurikens, right? The stars, right?
Yep.
And of course, people know nunchucks because Bruce Lee, and swords. People know swords. So one of the things I've noticed, and we've talked about some of the differences between like American martial arts versus overseas, let's say, because there's some variance. What I like is in the 80s, you would see somebody like pull out the nunchucks, and they'd flick them, they'd hold them, and you'd be like, okay, and then you'd see them do whatever and get into it. So they're priming you, right? What I hate now with a lot of weapons is all of a sudden somebody turns really quick, there's a quick cut, and someone's like, and then like the shuriken's like in their forehead or their eyeball or something, right? And you're like, oh, I want to see the shuriken in a person's hand. I want to see the action of him throwing it, and then I want to see it look like it's hitting somebody. Kosugi, despite the stunt work in here, you kind of can see it, but it does suffer from a lot of the 80s action stuff, and I don't mean to just one at a time, but we know he can go faster, right? But he's very precise with his movements and everything, so it looks really good. So the martial arts is okay. I still think they're better than Revenge of the Ninja, but it just makes you, like I say, it makes you want more because he really is that good. He's solid. And what I thought was cool too with him in the movies is as the bad guy, sometimes in like an 80s poster, you'd have whatever's going on in the center, and then you have the evil background of the person being like taller than you. You see with all the Stranger Things posters, right? Sho Kosugi's eyes have that piercing kind of thing that I go, okay, he can cut an apple into fourths, or that can happen in the film, and he can do stuff like that. And he breaks the guy's neck. It's like he's playing like bad guy moves or whatever instead of being a good guy.
You're talking about Sho Kosugi, like, when he wears the ninja outfit, you just see the slit in his eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like,
it's just like,
he's got ninja eyes, right?
Yeah,
not Betty Davis, but
ninja. Not Betty Davis eyes. Yeah, other movies I was looking. There's a Frank Nero movie I was checking out. It's called what is it called? Street Justice, I think it is.
That would be Enter the.
Street Law. Mm-hmm. Street Law. Frank Nero and Barbara Bach. Oh, I was like, robbery, assault, murder. One man has had enough. I was like, Frank Nero, heck yeah, and Barbara Bach. I was also looking.
That's got strong potential, sir.
And then if we ever go back to the Andy Sedaris movies, we got Pat Morita in Do or Die.
Stop it! I don't want to see him. Come on, I remember from Happy Days.
Well, these are no more Happy Days. The other ones I was looking at.
These are Happy Days for you and me.
A lot of movies we have not done have been like the '60s biker exploitation films.
True.
Chrome and Hot Leather. I was looking at that. That's on Tubi.
The two Billy Jack movies. I think it's 2.
Well, that's not. This isn't just a Billy Jack though. You're talking about the Born Losers, and then Billy Jack.
Yeah.
Born Losers was the first one. Then he goes to Billy Jack, and then Billy Jack goes to Washington. I think is the third one.
Much in the same way, ninjas have been watered down since the high point of the Sho Kosugi era. You could argue that with biker gangs on television. I know there's some great ones, and people are like, oh, you got to see Sons of Anarchy. You got to see this.
Sons of Anarchy was probably the best one they probably have, and then they did the Mayans, and then it just felt like, it's just like anything and anybody just copied them.
Put your own spin on it. Like that's the whole point.
Like, like Sons became like, who's gonna die this week? That was a raffle people were doing. They started killing them off towards the end of the season, like, and how are they gonna go out with, who's gonna be the better death? But
one of the disappointing things about martial arts movies today, and I'll reference some movies that we did do before, is you and I talked about an Amy Johnston movie, Lady Blood Fight, where she's like, it's like Bloodsport or whatever, right? It's like it's the chick Kumite, right? But she does great in her. She's like, she goes there with everybody else, and all the females are fighting. I thought that was kind of cool. It was like a re-imaging it. You could say, well, you're changing it from male to female. It worked because Amy Johnston is legit. Now she's not the biggest girl in the world.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, what would make people, instead of just saying, oh, here's a couple girls that can just re-imaging 80s films. I thought that could have been like a thing that could have worked, kind of like the Girls with Guns thing that we like to always cover, but there's only so many of them. I did think that someone like I mentioned him before there, but we talked the flippity floppity Scott Adkins. He's a good looking dude. He knows how to film action. He does all that stuff. He's lacking some sort of vehicle to.
He lacks charisma and acting skills. That's what it is. He's good.
It's because when he did that role in John Wick 4, he was the fat guy. I see. We have our.
But you know what he reminded me of? Colin Farrell as the Penguin. He had so much charisma, and then what happened to that in his other movies?
Right. And that's not a knock at him. That's an observation, because the guy is so good and talented, and he grew up on this kind of stuff. He knows, hey, if I can do this and do that, and he does it so good.
Everyone has their own identity. Jean-Claude Van Damme was the pretty boy, and stuff. There was that. Jackie Chan was the comedian, situational. It was always being basically wrong place, wrong time. That's basically what Jackie Chan was, trying to avoid the fight. Bruce Lee was the guy who basically stood up to bullies, and fought serious. Sho Kosugi was the ninja, and serious ninja too, and it would throw some humor in there, but it was very shallow as far, and not because his acting is the fact that the story was not that great. And this is a perfect example of movies. This is a movie you're not watching for the story. You're watching it for the fighting. You're watching for the ninja stars.
You're watching for the atmosphere. This is what made these movies should feel like.
Yep. So, like I said, if you're looking for more of these types of movies, we have covered once in the past. Obviously, Anthony knows about this. We did Eastern Condors, which is basically the Dirty Dozen stuff. Of that was really fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of these. There's a lot of them on Tubi right now, so I think we should take advantage of them while they're there, because otherwise it's going to get harder to find these. Because Tubi has free movies, but I don't know how long they'll have rights to some of these martial arts stuff.
Sometimes they alternate between that and, like, for me, there's a Plex channel, because I use that for my home media server, and there's a lot free on there. You gotta look for them. Yeah, I was looking at Netflix to see what they got coming in, and just like Tubi has a lot more to offer about new stuff, So if there are more movies, martial art movies that you want us to check out, we haven't done so, let us know down in the comment section, of this video or any of our videos, and let us know, and we'll take a look at them. If you're going to name off one you want us to review, first let us know. Make sure that it's actually available to find anywhere. Like I said, because a lot of times we look for these movies like, oh, I want to watch this. Especially there's one with I think it's Michelle Yeoh and what the guy you don't like, the one you want to punch all the time, Donnie Yen. Sorry, because that's how I remember it. It's Donnie Yen. Punchable face. I really liked the last Donnie Yen movie we did. Yeah. That was badass.
But like, there's a movie those two get together, but you can't find it because it never made it to print. It was on VHS, and that was it, limited. And there's a lot of movies like that. So I mean, we were doing the Andy Sidaris films because those are movies that don't really get talked about really a lot on anymore. They're kind of like one and done. The people who were there when they came out, and it's kind of like, yeah, I knew they saw these, yeah, they're okay, whatever, you know. But a lot of like nowadays, no people have never even heard of them. They're like, who's Andy Sedaris, you know, and like they don't know who Julie Strain is, you know, or Strain. Julie Strain, and then consider she did Playboy, but like I said, I want to start doing some more late 80s, 90s, maybe some Shannon Tweed stuff, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because there's, as I said, well, we have access to these, and I said like that's the thing, make people know. They said we don't have to be the extreme popular movie show; it'll be the extreme indie action show,
the extreme movie show, and we cover TV.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an 80s film. Feels like it, looks like it. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. Could have been better. I check my brain off, and this is the kind of movie I can do it to. There's no message to it, whatever. I get it. You can watch it with the sound off and understand what's going on.
Dude,
that's the beauty of it.
That's the thing. I don't turn my brain off. I watch it the same way I watch any movie. It's or show. I don't look for like, oh well, that doesn't make sense. No, I look at like, hey, does I have does I have the three things I like? Does I have hot babes? Does I have guns? Does I have explosions? You know, like, and then the fourth one is ninja. It's like. So as long as it has something I can grab onto and actually like I'll like, you know, too. I don't need anybody to root for. Sometimes I'm just like, if I'll be rooting against the bad guy to get his own coming. That's the one thing I will say. This: if you have a bad guy and the bad guy wins, it kind of sucks. But now here's the thing: the only way I root for the bad guy is if the good guy is horrible and so annoying, I want him to get whacked. You know.
Yeah.
But
But
that's rarely for me. I know I just watch a lot of these movies. I'm just like I just watch them for the scenery. Sometimes too, the scenery, the music. Like I said, this had a beautiful, nature, like kind of like drop set where he's in like this like gorge or so, and all these different waterfall and stuff too. Yeah. And then that was, I didn't care. Yeah, here comes the natives in there. I didn't care about that. I was just like, how is he gonna get across these ravines, you know, like on the water and stuff? And then one of them fires a freak
in any film today.
And I don't think like how is he dodging these arrows? These guys must be bad shots, you know. They're firing little bone arrows at him. One finally hits the rope. I'm like, how did it hit the rope?
You know, that all I'm saying is no CGI. Thank you.
Props. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't care if it's a stupid tiny river and he's ankle deep and he's being chased. There's something about being outdoors and fighting, right?
Anthony is bringing up there's a Donnie Yen movie called Killzone, aka SPL, same director as Flashpoint. I think it's the one we did, yeah. Is that available on Tubi, or do we got to look for it in an archive or something?
You know, they should make a very pretty martial arts movie called Fashion Point.
They will.
I would watch that.
They will.
We know, Anthony. We're messing with you. Yeah, that's interesting. Because in America, it's a little easier to, I think, for us to kind of just know from our experience, actors, actresses, maybe even sometimes writers and directors, because we don't go into the movie part, but we just go on the experience of watching it. That's our focus. But you and I have done that a little bit with some of the films, like, the Jackie Chan types are like this. And we talked about like how Hong Kong's a bit different than the Chinese versus Indonesian versus Japanese, whatever. And that's kind of interesting. So, yeah, I'm sure we're going to get to that, Anthony. That's definitely a good call here. We definitely are going to get some stuff out of the way over here over the next month or so before we transition a little bit into the fall stuff and Halloween and everything. So
there's only one movie I've really been looking forward to watching. It's called Holy Night Demon Hunter, starring our Korean Chuck Norris, but there's no release date anywhere, so I don't know if it's ever gonna release on anywhere line to watch it.
Yeah, I saw that trailer for it too,
and I was like, oh, even though it's bad, I don't care. I watched the Bounty Hunter one with him, and with remember the one with the water bottle stuff? Everybody's trying to get water. I love crazy stuff like that too. But also the one was Iron Angels 2. I figured we should revisit that series sometime. Charlie's Angels, Hong Kong knockoff.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff there. So I said leave recommendations in the comment section. We really do need that because interaction, as far as we do appreciate Anthony, you being here in the chat, interacting. That helps tell YouTube that, hey, there is interest for this channel, because it seems like lately all of a sudden we dropped off again, and maybe that's because of summer. You know, people are just out enjoying doing things, whatever. But we always appreciate people coming in and interacting with us, and also letting us know as far as if there's a certain reveal they want us to do, we'll check it out, because after all, if we're just doing stuff that we like, we can't expect people to watch us, So
yes, we can.
So so eventually we probably will bring back the poll again. But until summer's over, we're just gonna do some things that we
summer
pick.
flicks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tuesday is gonna be the Naked Gun, the new one.
Yes.
I'm going into it. I've never watched any of the originals.
Really?
Yeah. So
I promise you it will be different.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And here's the thing: is I do like Liam Neeson. So, and I've seen him do comedy before with Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
And the guy who played Warwick Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's really good at dry humor. So, I'm thinking it'll be good. I think it might be better than the Fletch movie.
No chance.
The new one, I think it will.
Oh, the new Fletch?
Yeah,
I
think this might be the reboot that actually is like good. You know, but not better than the original. But it'll be entertaining.
Well, one can only hope. It's going to be a lot like Ted. I'll just say that.
I like Ted.
Good night, everybody.
Thunder buddies, fuck you. Yeah. Unless you're talking about Ted Bundy, that's a different story. I don't like that.
Thunder buddies out.
Right.